call the Cuyahoga County Human Resources Appointments and Equity Committee to order Tuesday, October 18th at 10:08 a.m. Clerk, please take the roll.
As a reminder to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county YouTube page. Calling the roll for Ms. Baker.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher. Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Sweeney. Mr. Sweeney is absent at the moment. Ms. Conwell. Ms. Conwell is absent at the moment.
Is there any public comment?
I'm sorry, we have a quorum.
Any public comment?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have two people signed in for public comment. Alex Rubin.
Please state your name and welcome.
Good morning. My name is Alex Rubin, and I'm here today to speak about our 2022-0341 on behalf of Clevelanders for Public Transit. First, I want to again highlight the recent history of this seat in question on the GCRTA Board of Trustees. Last year, County Council confirmed Roberto Duarte to this seat by appointing the first fixed route transit rider to serve on the RTA's board in living memory. Cuyahoga County made a strong statement that riders provide an invaluable perspective and that the RTA benefits when riders are part of their decision making. With this seat now open, CPT believes it would be a dangerous step backwards to replace a rider with anyone but another rider. Second, I have a request for the members of this committee. In 2018, County Council's Regional Transportation Advisory Subcommittee made two important recommendations to the GCRTA Board of Trustees. These are direct quotes. The first, if the Ohio legislature does not provide a more permanent replacement of lost MCO sales tax before or through the next biennial budget, GCRTA should consider requesting voter approval of property tax millage or a 0.1% increase in the sales tax to replace the lost revenue and maintain service levels. Number two, GCRTA should also consider new revenue sources such as a property tax, transportation district employer tax, parking tax, or transportation tax. But the RTA board has not acted on either of these in the last 4 years. In 2019, in its climate change action plan, Cuyahoga County committed to, quote, return public transit service and ridership to 2006 levels by 2025 and increase the transit mode share, end quote. But in the last 15 years, RTA has eliminated 30% of its service and doubled fares. Meanwhile, ridership has dropped by over 50%. Just to get back where we were in 2006 will be impossible if we as a region don't change the status quo. In light of the county's goals and commitments, I encourage the members of this committee to ask any nominee before them to the RTA's Board of Trustees some difficult questions, such as, will you vote to place a levy on the ballot for RTA funding, as recommended by County Council's Regional Transportation Advisory Subcommittee? If not, what are other realistic revenue sources that you will pursue as a trustee? How can the RTA double its ridership to meet the county's climate change action plan commitment? What would your top priority as a trustee of the RTA be, if anything other than securing additional permanent funding for the agency to restore and expand service countywide? How can you justify it given the funding death spiral happening now at the RTA? CPT looks forward to hearing the responses of any prospective trustee of the RTA to these questions. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Chris Martin.
Chris Martin, District 7. I am here to again speak against the appointment of Chris Glassburn to the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority Board of Trustees. I don't have much in terms of substance to add to the remarks of my colleague, Alex Rubin. I echo his comments. Instead, I'd like to make a note on process. Counselors, please remember your positions exist only because of the corruption of political patronage that plagued our former commissioner system of government. I mention this because I fear political patronage is at play with Mr. Glassburn's nomination. Mr. Glassburn is Mr. Budish's former campaign manager and is currently campaign treasurer for State Representative Bride Rose Sweeney, the daughter of County Councilor Martin Sweeney. Given his relationship to Mr. Glassburn, and to avoid any appearance of impropriety, I would ask that Councilor Sweeney recuse himself from this vote.
Thank you for your comment. Any others?
That's all the public comment, Madam Chair.
Would you please read the matters referred to committee?
If we could approve the minutes
Oh, I'm
first.
sorry. Members, would you please take a look at the minutes and approve them? We have a motion to move.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hearing no nays, the minutes are approved. Thank you. Now, if you may, send matters referred to committee.
Resolution 2022-0239, confirming the county executive's appointment of Nyla K. Byrd to serve on the Cuyahoga County Community Improvement Corporation Board of Trustees for an unexpired term ending January 31st, 2024.
Thank you. And Laura, would you please give us a little background?
Thank you, Madam Roach. Laura Roach here Madam Chair. Laura Roach here on behalf of the county executive. And pursuant to Section 1724 of the Ohio Revised Code, I'm here to recommend the appointment of Nyla K. Byrd to the Cuyahoga County Improvement Corporation's Board of Trustees. Ms. Byrd will serve the remainder of Michelle Pomerantz's 3-year term, ending January 31st, 2024. We are requesting a second reading suspension at this time.
Thank you. Ms. Byrd, would you please come forward?
And Madam Chair, if
Record,
I may
please.
call the roll for Mr. Sweeney, please. Mr. Sweeney? Calling the roll for Mr. Sweeney? Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Sure. Nyla K. Byrd, Clerk of Courts. Good morning. It's a pleasure for me to be here this morning, and I'd like to thank County Executive Armin Budish and the Human Resources Appointment and Equity Committee for providing me with the opportunity to say a few words about my experience and my interest to serve as a board member for the Cuyahoga County Improvement Corporation Board of Trustees. As you all know, I'm a licensed attorney. I'm licensed to practice law in Ohio, New York, and New Jersey, and I've spent most of my career practicing law. I began my career as an assistant district attorney in Manhattan, where I tried numerous felony cases to verdict. After the tragedy of 9/11, I relocated to Cleveland, Ohio, and began to practice in the litigation department at Squire Sanders and Dempsey, now known as Squire Patton and Boggs. In 2004, while continuing to practice at Squire, I participated in the 2004 Bridge Builders class, which helped to prepare me for an engagement in the community by fostering teamwork, growth, and learning. After my work at Squire, Sanders, and Dempsey, I joined National City Bank to serve in what was then the vice presidency role in the law department. When National City was bought by PNC Bank, I was provided an opportunity for a promotion. However, I had to relocate to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I declined that offer. By this time, my passion, my commitment, and my love for Cleveland and Cuyahoga County was solidified. I was offered and accepted a position as an assistant United States attorney for the Northern District of Ohio under the leadership of then U.S. Attorney Steve Dettelbach. Although my time there was not extensive, I was able to successfully try a jury case to verdict. While at the United States Attorney's Office, I was offered an opportunity under the new form of county government to serve as the first Inspector General for Cuyahoga County. I accepted, I developed the design, and staffed that office. In 2014, while serving as the Inspector General for the county, I was honored to participate as a member of Leadership Cleveland. As for those of you who've gone through Leadership Cleveland, I will stop now and say that the 2014 class is the best class ever. Councilman Sweeney, it is. Leadership Cleveland provided multiple community engagement opportunities across a wide spectrum, and I was inspired, connected, and challenged to make a positive impact on my community. While County Executive Armin Budish was elected, he asked if I would be interested and willing to serve as the Cuyahoga County Clerk of Courts. I accepted the opportunity, and I've served in this capacity for nearly 8 years. As Clerk of Courts, I created an agency mission with a commitment to provide superior customer service and to ensure the integrity and access to court records through efficient record management and financial administration. We live this mission each and every day. We focus on professionalism, communication, and collaboration. In July of 2020, the county, as you were well aware, declared racism a public health crisis. And at that time, County Executive Budish asked for me to serve as the county liaison to the newly created Citizens Advisory Council on Equity, which is commonly now referred to as CASE. I've served in this role for nearly 2 years. In this role, I've been afforded the opportunity to work with 17 committed, citizens, and community leaders who are reflective of this county's diversity. There are members from the faith-based community, labor organizations, and numerous engaged, productive community organizations. The case, as you know, is tasked with the responsibility to ensure and to report on equity efforts undertaken by the county. I firmly believe my knowledge, skills, ability, and experience and commitment are aligned with the purposes of the Cuyahoga County Community Improvement Corporation. There is no more important work and ultimate benefit to our community than to advocate, to encourage, and to promote the industrial, economic, commercial, and civil development of our county. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to talk, and I will answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. What a very impressive and extensive background. Thank you for offering your services to this board also. Appreciate it. So do we have questions for our guests? Go ahead. Councilman Miller.
Just a comment that as a proud graduate of the Leadership Cleveland class of 1983, your comment about the 2014 class did not help your prospects. We'll see if your other strengths will be able to outweigh that factor. Thank you.
Yes, Councilman Sweeney.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Dale Miller being funny, that is awesome. I mean, delivered well. I'm class of 2004, and I think all the classes are equally as impressive. As your resume says, I've known you a long time. You're doing a great job, or you're going to do a great job. And just with the Community Improvement Corporation, the time commitment, because I know how much time you put in your responsibilities that you currently have for Cuyahoga County, but just the time commitment, I want to make sure it's a balance. I know you're going to be able to do it, but I wouldn't mind hearing your thoughts.
100%. So it's funny, when I moved and I was considering taking a job at Squire Sanders, which you know is a big law firm, and it's a lot of hours. And I remember talking to the partner in charge then, and we were communicating, and I was in New York City as a prosecutor, and he said, you'll have no problem with the hours because you are always at work. Mr. Boyle can probably attest to that, as Ms. Roach can. If I do something, I give it my all. I am fortunate and blessed that my big time commitment and those twins that I have are now freshmen in school, so I have lots more time because they are out of state. I'm committed to what I do. I am involved in the community. I do serve on the Board of Trustees for Hillcrest Hospital. That's not a huge time commitment. This would be something that I think I can handle with no problem.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I have no doubt, but I just wanted to have that
Absolutely.
as a public comment.
Thank you. Yes, Councilman Gallagher.
Clerk Byrd, thank you. As always, and as we know, resumes only take us so far. And while yours is impressive, is your personality, your perseverance, and your caring for your employees that has taken you to great heights. And when we deal with problems here in the council, we rarely hear of problems from the clerk's office, and I attribute that to you and your leadership team. Your predecessor set the table, you took it from there, and no one could be more appreciative than I for what you have done over there. I look forward to working with you in the future, and would anticipate that no matter who is elected executive would certainly understand that removing the rudder of the clerk's office from that ship would be a dramatic error. And again, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you very much for those words.
Thank you, and thank you all. It sounds like you are very well regarded, and of course should be.
Thank you.
Just a couple of maybe some questions that we could perhaps ask that I thought of earlier. As your 8 years, as you said, in Clerk of Courts, overseeing a large office like that, what do you see in the trends for employment? And we hear a lot in the private sector of difficulties and market comparisons of hiring. Where are we in your estimation when it comes to the governmental piece?
So I believe, Councilwoman, the pandemic has taken a large toll on all of us, on hiring, on retaining. etc. So in my office, I'm dealing with similar things that other large county agencies are dealing with in terms of finding, recruiting qualified people to stay at the clerk's office. As I believe Councilwoman Conwell and Gallagher and Miller will remember, I don't know if you two were here then, the clerk's office historically was one of the most underpaid offices in this county. One of the things that I set out when I went through my confirmation was to help raise those salaries. I am proud to say that they have raised. They are not as competitive as I would like to be, but I think we are competitive. I think we need to reshift, and I work very closely with HR to identify different areas of recruitment and retention and other ways to be creative. I think there is absolutely more work to be done and more things that I, of course, have in my mind that I'd like to roll out at some point. But it's a challenge, and it's a challenge for the clerk's office specifically, Councilwoman, because as I like to say, and Laura Roach knows I say this all the time, we have the one job where you can't come to my home to post bail. You can't come to my living room to file a document with our office. So my office was fully staffed through the pandemic, and we had to be there in person to deal with our stakeholders, and we did that. Now, we do have some things in the works that are being rolled out, more to come. I'll leave you with that teaser, so hopefully we can offer some other incentives for people to join. But it's difficult, but I think it can be done. We need to refocus and do it. I think working at the county is great. It's great for people who want to serve, and it's a great career path.
Good, thank you. That's a great answer, and I appreciate it, and I look forward to more to come. Yes, Councilman Gallagher.
I'd like to balance my praise of you with the fact that just before the meeting, I found out you're a Yankee fan. So
Two strikes. Wow.
Thank you. That's a problem.
to jump on Mr. Miller's train, I think it's tenuous as to where you're going.
Councilman, with all due consideration, if the Guardians were not
sorry,
playing the
that-
Yankees, I would be a Guardian.
We reject that. Thank you.
Well, before we go any farther.
I'm a St. Ed's fan.
Any other questions from our colleagues? So let us, do I have a motion to move this item to full body of council for a second reading suspension?
So, second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hearing no nays. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
And if I can call the roll for Ms. Conwell?
Here.
Thank you. The next item, Resolution 2022-0341, will be held as Mr. Glassburn was unable to attend today's meeting, but will be invited to attend the next committee meeting once that date has been determined.
Thank you very much for that. So let's move on to the next item, refer to committee.
Ordinance 2022-0009, providing for modifications to and adoption of certain sections of the Cuyahoga County Employee Handbook.
Hello, please state your name for the record.
Pat Smock, Department of Human Resources. Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Here to continue the discussion that we had at the last meeting. Annually, the Department of Human Resources bring forth recommended changes to the employee handbook. As I mentioned, we were here before. This is our second appearance, and with the permission of the chair, we'll discuss those topics that were hot topics in the last meeting and the changes that we've made to those items since that time and for the committee's consideration.
Did refer all of these to you through email about, I don't know, several days ago.
Absolutely.
So we were able to review them before today's meeting, so it's not going through it for the first time.
Thank
And
you for doing that.
Yes, and I did go through these personally with Mr. Smock before they even went out. So there's a lot of work behind this effort, and I think we have done really well. So let's walk through it and see if our members have any questions.
Madam Chair, the first item that's changed since the last meeting is item 6.04, direct deposit and payroll deductions. And the discussion with the committee at that time was from my perspective, was to sort of soften the language to ensure that the employees realize that this is something that we recommend that they should do rather than they shall do, so to speak. And so the new language is that employees should review pay statements regularly for accuracy. Should they become aware of a discrepancy, the employee should report the discrepancy to Human Resources as soon as it's discovered. An employee or former employee will be expected to repay any overpayment regardless of how or why it occurred. And the the period and method of payment will be determined by the Director of Human Resources, and we added taking into account the amount, the employee's ability to pay, et cetera. If the employee terminates employment before an overpayment has been recovered, the county may deduct the outstanding amount from the employee's final paycheck, including accrued vacation leave, et cetera. The other major change is the last sentence, where we said the county reserves the right to recover funds through legal means when necessary. Again, we heard the committee. We did not want the employees to feel that this was fully their responsibility and something they must do, but something they should do, that we recommend that they review their pay stubs biweekly.
Any questions on this change? I think you've done a very good job in listening to what we said and then putting it into the words of this document. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Please continue.
The second change is in section 6.12, and this is clarifying that employees have to pay all debts to the county in order to receive their final check. And then we added including from tuition reimbursement and other programs, and that was a request of the committee, and it was something that we missed, and we appreciate the committee bringing that to our attention.
Any comment on that? Okay. Please continue.
In section 7.04, we made language updates at the chair's request, which was an excellent catch, to make sure that the language was consistent throughout, that we don't approve timesheets any longer, we authorize timesheets any longer. So in each occasion where unapproved was mentioned, we changed that to unauthorized timesheets. We also made a change at the request of staff. If you look at the chart that exists in that particular section, we changed this to one occurrence as opposed to an occurrence. Again, unauthorized as opposed to unapproved. And then the committee had a discussion regarding AWOL, 3 or more consecutive days of no call, no show. And we had language that the employee was subject to removal. And we've clarified that to subject to removal as a job abandonment.
All good? Please continue.
In section 7.07, this was significant new language that you see in red. And we had the discussion with the committee regarding those offenses that are severe enough to warrant immediate removal. And we wanted to clarify the language, and Ms. Marshall stepped forward to clarify for me, actually, at the last meeting, that employees are always placed on administrative leave, and that may lead to removal from employment. We also clarified that the language there includes examples of things that may or may not require immediate removal after placement on administrative leave. And then we took out language regarding language, I suppose, because we wanted to ensure that employees were aware of the fact that if they make a bad choice and use bad language on one occasion, that wouldn't necessarily be a removable offense.
All good. Please continue.
Okay. I believe since our last meeting, the last major change is towards the end, which is in the Family Medical Leave Act, and that is under the leave donation. This is 11.07, apologies, 11.07, under the leave donation policy. And we just clarified that rather than employees, we just made it any eligible employee may donate accrued sick or vacation leave to fellow employees. This is a program, just to remind council, that allows employees who are on a continuous family medical leave approved for their own illness, they can receive donated leave from their colleagues in order to maintain their pay throughout that leave and also maintain their benefits, which is obviously very, very important to employees. No change in the program, just clarifying that language in this particular case. Madam Chair, that's the end of the changes that we made since the last time we were here, and I'm happy to discuss any questions, of course, that the committee or the chair may have.
I'm good.
Members are, yes, go ahead.
So under the leave, through the chair, to Mr. Smock, the leave donation, I see you added any eligible employee may donate accrued sick time. I don't remember if that was one that a section we had talked about, or just something that you noticed needed to be corrected?
To the chair, Councilwoman, that came from the discussion with staff and with the chair individually, and I think there was just a question about employees, the plural, as opposed to any employee, and we added the word eligible in there. There's eligibility language in the FMLA. An employee must maintain a certain level of sick leave before they can donate, which has always been the case. But that was all, just to indicate it was individual as opposed to plural.
Thank you.
Give the members a minute to look it over.
Absolutely.
Through the chair to Mr. Smock, I know we've did a lot of technology and put a lot of the handbooks on where they can go to My HR and print it out, but does the county have any hard copies?
Madam Chair, Councilwoman, we'll be generating hard copies once these updates are put in place, if the committee and council do approve. We do have existing copies of the current language. All newly hired employees actually receive a hard copy of the handbook, and they're available through HR as well, through the HR office, and then also available electronically through the Infor system. And we also kept them on the My HR system because employees are used to going there and have been for some time.
Okay, can you make, I know the clerk, our clerk always gets a copy. Can you make sure that this committee at least gets them?
Absolutely, madam. Councilwoman will make sure that we send enough for all council members and staff. Those are completed by the communications office, I should mention, and the print shop do an excellent job.
In-house.
Absolutely.
That takes a while.
Yeah.
Any other comments, members? I think we have accomplished a successful draft. So I will ask for a motion to accept the proposed substitute.
So moved?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 The proposed substitute is accepted. I will ask now can I have a motion to move this item to the full body of council for second reading as substituted, but for full reading, not for,
So moved?
Second.
say aye?
Aye.
Any nays? No, this has been accepted and move forward.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members. Go Guardians.
Thank you for your work on this. Very well done.
And quick.
And quick, yeah. It's nice when we hear each other. All right, is there?
I remember back in the day where we, for the HR policy, it was a back and forth, but I think they did a good job of hearing our concerns and came back very quickly.
I agree. All right, and any miscellaneous business?
There's no other business?
Thank you. Then I will call the meeting